Welcome to Ngosti Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngosti Talk Shows, everyone. Over to you, Kamal. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Nomsa, and welcome everybody. I'm sorry, I was moving around. I'm testing my new mic. I'm so excited. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this world. And let's start off with a few interesting ideas. You know, the feeling of being stuck. Many people have that, right? That feeling of being in a hamster wheel, always running, always grinding with no sense of direction and a lack of fulfillment, and perhaps even a lack of belonging in your lives. Perhaps you question the idea of life, what it means and where you're going and what you want to do. You might call it raison d'être, you might call it ikigai, or for others, we call it purpose or purposes. Now, on average, 90% of people live their lives as it is, not questioning it, not questioning growth, not having any sense of idea what to do or where to go, right? If you are from the 10% of people that have questions, that you feel that you are lost and want to find answers, finding, as they say, your purpose, we call it uncover your purpose. If you are one of those people that wants to feel that sense of purpose, that sense of reason behind existence. My name is Kamal Aima, and I am a certified NLP trainer, master practitioner, hypnotherapist, and a life purpose specialist. And what I do is, with a combination of ancient Egyptian methodology and wisdom and neurolinguistic programming, I help you create a foundation to a life of harmony, balance, and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kamal. So our topic today is when you want to make a change but feel confused and scared. So basically, we chose this topic because sometimes people they will be faced with the challenges in life, and they know that sometimes somebody knows that they have to change their lives, or they have to change their habit, or they have to change whatever is going on in their lives, whether it could be business, it could be marriage, it could be simple changing, maybe just changing your daily habit. But sometimes they fear there will be that voice within you saying no, you can't, or that voice telling you that if you do this or if you start your business, you will fail. There will be so many things that will be responding in your voices. But so we'll be covering so many things. How why do people fear and it's raining, so which is good. Why do people have to fear making changes? Like myself, before, I'll fear if I wanted to change something, I'll fear that people, maybe they might judge me, or sometimes I'll have fear that what if I fail? How am I going to face my family? How am I going to face my friends? Before I go into personal development, which it is normal when you actually care about what people think, but sometimes it could be fear that, am I enough to do this? Am I good enough? So I'm gonna hand it over to Kamal. Please take the stage.
All right, thank you very much, Nomsa, for that introduction. And quite simply, as you mentioned it, what happens that scares us or scares somebody from the change or wanting to change, right? That confusion. And let me start off with one simple factor from the teachings of my mentor, Steve McVeigh. He says there are three types of fear. So, like when we fear something, it's for three reasons: fear of the outcome, fear of the process, or the fear of loss. Now, these are the reasons why we fear things. Change requires those three. So the fact that you can be scared or confused is very normal because, well, you're going to have to go through the process of the change. You're going to have to live up to the outcome or see the outcome yourself and experience it. And you are going to lose something. You're going to lose that previous self, that previous thing that you were habituated to do, right? So, very normal to feel that sense of fear when it comes to change. Stupid, however, not wanting to change because we are in constant motion. The universe, the world, and everything around us changes. That is a constant factor. And if you want to stay unchanged in that place where you are, to me, that means that you don't want any more growth. And to me, if you are not seeking that growth to become better today than the day you were yesterday, then I'm sorry to say that, but in my opinion, from a very cynical perspective, you're a waste of breath. Why would you not want to change when change is constant? Right? The moons, the stars, the trees, the animals, everything changes all the time. We are, as human beings, evolving. How can you not accept that for yourself as a person? So I think that's where we can start off with. Of course, many people say change is a mindset, change requires tiny habits. There are all these factors that we can talk about and introduce in this conversation, a very wide conversation, and can take us to many places. So I'm curious, where do you want to start off, Nomsa?
For me, basically, sometimes the reason why sometimes if you want to change your life, you have to first, if your life is not where it should be, or anything that you want to change, whatever that might be, so you have to know that life is a change, and change means life. So if you don't change what needs changing, that means you don't have a life. You're not going to have a life. Like what you were saying, Kamal, that means you are going to be miserable. So if changing is required, regardless of fear, fear will always be there. Even myself, I'm on personal development. Myself, I'm a coach. Fear is always there, but is you telling that fear that no, I'm in charge. Fear, you are not in charge of my life. And accept the situation. When you accept the situation that this is the problem that I'm facing, or this is what needs changing, you will be able to actually work on your fears, and you'll be able to pull through the other side. But if you don't accept, you are in denial, then you won't be able to actually move on with whatever you want to move on with. Forget about failure. People try things all the time because you're never gonna know. If you don't try something, you're never gonna know the outcome. The outcome might be good, the outcome might not be the results. There's no such thing as it's bad the outcome, but if you look at it as a learning, then you'll be able to keep trying. So if you actually take responsibility, create little success, little by bit. Some people, they look at people's lives have changed, but they don't know the steps that people had to take to be where they are. So they want to accomplish everything at the same time. But if you take little by little, and your fears, work on your fears as well, because your fears will always be there, and let them know that I'm aware your fears, that you are here, but I'm going to keep going. So that is what we call life. That's how you actually, and also stay away from I've seen people where I go for coffee with some people, even if they are coaches and somebody is having problems, and let's say like a marriage problem, and sometimes this person will start talking and say, oh, I'm having problems with this, and then somebody will make a comment and say, oh, he shouldn't be doing this to you, he should not be doing, and that is making things worse. So also you need to be aware of who you are telling your problems to. When you are having fears of moving forward with something, whether it's business, if it is a business, family members, find a family member that is a champion, that is always fearless, that wants to get things done, or find a mentor and then tell them your fears. They'll be able to direct you, to help you, push you to keep going. But if you tell everybody, people will scare you off. They'll make things worse than they are. So I've had people, when somebody is talking about their marriage and they're like, oh no, he should not be doing that, and that person, they leave feeling worse than they were. And then sometimes if I'm there, I have to say, listen, sometimes we fear things that don't exist. Have you actually had a chance to sit down with your spouse and talk about the problems? And they're like, no, they don't know. So I'm like, so how can they know? If somebody doesn't know, this is how they're making you feel. Talk to them. But then if somebody who's not a coach, they'll be like, they are not allowed. They should not be making you feel that way. They should not be, and they're making things worse than they are. So it's okay. If you have fear, for me personally, I'll say find somebody that will not make things worse, your feelings, than the way they are.
It's a nice perspective where you've taken that talk, and I like that. It's a good start. Because of our fears, we go and seek comfort in the arms of others, right? And that's very normal as human beings. And like you were saying, right, finding that person that will support you instead of bring you down or judge you or tell you what to do, is a big difference between advising somebody what to do and how to do it, contra somebody will ask the right question to let you actually make the choice that you consider is best for yourself. And I would rather have the second option. Now, when it comes to being scared and change, I've explained it in the beginning, right? There are three. There are the fears come based on these three definitions, right? The fear of loss. Let's play around with that a little bit. What are you going to lose in this process? Let's take the example of a relationship. Are you going to lose that partner? Are you going to lose the sense of your identity? Are you going to lose a sense of learning, a sense of growth, a sense of perhaps being a different person, being alone instead of being in a relationship or in a couple, right? Will you be judged by others and people will look at you, ooh, now you're part of those single people or single parents, right? And that is that loss that we are talking about. A lot of people don't know how to handle that, and they have that issue with, no, I'm not ready to lose this. This is why, for instance, a lot of people stay in dysfunctional relationships for a while because they cannot fathom the idea of being out of this identity, losing that person, even though they know that this person is not good for them from their perspective, right? Not from others. So it ends up with you knowing that you want to get out of the relationship. However, you don't do it because you're too scared of what you will lose. Will you be able to survive on your own? Is that person providing for you? Is it half of the income? Will you be able to take over the house? Will you not? Will you pay rent? How will you handle the kids? Are you going to do 50% custody? Is it going to be 70, 30? What is happening? All of that is a whole block of loss, right? And that is scary, isn't it? It's frightening to know that because you want to make a change in your life, something drastic will be lost. And worst of all is your identity. The loss of who you were in that relationship, what you're going to do with yourself, who you're going to become. So that's scary. And yes, I've been there. I'll raise my hand and say, I have been there. I stayed in a relationship longer than I had to because I was too scared. And I had the fear of the loss. I had the fear of the process, and I had the fear of the outcome itself. All three of them, right? So again, we come to the choice. Would you rather do what you feel is right for yourself to move forward and become who you are meant to be? Or are you ready to forget about that and stay in that ditch where you are? So we've spoken about loss now. Now, let's talk about the process it takes. Because the process of change is even scarier than the loss that we have, right? What do you have to do to change? Implement new habits? Change the way you talk, the way you think, the way you dress? And all of these things are only for yourself, not for others, not for the eye candy of others looking at you. Oh, that person has changed. This person is different. No, this is all for you. Yes, people will have an impact because they will see you and they will watch and say, oh, you've changed. But that's none of our business. We don't care about that. We care about you personally, how you want to change and the process that you're going to go through in changing yourself. Now, that process requires steps, like you mentioned, Nomsa. It requires tiny habits, like others say. It requires consistency, discipline, and no, not motivation. Motivation is that spark that will get you to start the journey. Discipline and consistency is what will lead you towards that change, which is the outcome that we will talk about in a bit. Through that process, you are letting go of who you were. You are letting go of the limiting beliefs that you've had because you have already changed and done something new. You are fighting and struggling with your identity, with their capabilities, with where you want to be, your environment. You are struggling with what you want in life. Let's call it purpose, right? And finding purposes or uncovering purposes in the different areas of your life is part of that change and process, which again, you are in charge of. Because that process will only begin once you realize that the outcome is greater than the loss. Even if for a long period of time, it will be a struggle. Because it's not always easy. It's not always, you know what, I'm going to open that window and then the change will happen. It doesn't happen that way. Sometimes it does. Some people are fortunate enough to say, I'm going to change today, and tomorrow the change occurs bit by bit, right? Because they have that click in their mind. They have that discipline to say, this is what I want, this is what I'm going for. And they push themselves so hard to doing what they want to do. And for a reason or another, it allows them that synchronicity with the world, with the universe, with everything that is happening around them, that even if it takes a long time, they feel that this time is redundant. So they feel, you know what? When I decided to do this, it happened straight away. That is the process. Now the outcome. Why would you fear the outcome of something? Well, the outcome is what you don't know what it is. In some cases, right? Let's say you're going through a divorce. The outcome is you're going to be single. The outcome is you're going to share custody if you have children. The outcome is you're going to have to go again into that pool of dating and finding a right person. The outcome is losing friends because friends take sides when it comes to divorces and separations and boyfriend and girlfriends splitting up, right? The outcome is you being branded or labeled as a person who you didn't identify with. So how can we change that outcome into something not to fear? Well, what do you want? How do you want it? Are you ready to go through the process in order to get that outcome that you want? Now, remember, an outcome is not necessarily a goal, right? Your goal, for instance, is to, I don't know, become a millionaire. The outcome is the result of what you have done to reach a goal, right? Your goal is to win a championship or to win a gold medal. The outcome is the result, which is you didn't qualify. So that outcome is scary. How can we make it not scary? Well, is the minimum outcome of this process, of this loss, worth it for you? Is that outcome something that you can be content with as a starting point for you to move forward and start to find something better and better and look for a different outcome, a different goal? These are the steps I believe are crucial to any change a person wants in their life. These are steps that we tend not to think of because we're in the middle of it, and we forget that all of that is happening at the same time. It's very nice to dissect it as we are doing it right now, Nomsa, right? And say, you are fearing change because of 1, 2, and 3. And then we dissect 1, 2, and 3. Why? Because we can explain it and we can run you through it right now. However, when you're in the midst of it all, it doesn't work that way. You need to be able to take a step back, look into your life, and understand these things bit by bit. And this is why we do what we do, right? We're sharing this information so that people who are struggling with change can take a step back, listen to us and say, you know what? Okay, let's see. Am I afraid of loss? What am I losing here in this process? What am I losing in this new change of myself or perspective? What is the process that I'm concerned about? How can it change? How can I make it so that it's not scary? And what is the outcome that I'm looking for? Is it acceptable? Is that where I want to go for a starter? And is it worth it? And in my opinion, any change is worth it, as long as it's for your own sake. So I think that's a very nice start where you brought us, Nomsa. Please, I'd love to hear your opinion and comments about this.
I like it when you talk about when sometimes when we have to make decisions, we think about the loss, we think about other people, how they're gonna think of us. We think about in my bag. Sorry. So we think about other people, how they're going to actually think about our decisions. We think about our identity. I like the way you're bringing the identity in it, because if you, let's say, if you have a business and you're married, you've been married for a very long time, or even if you are living with your spouse and your relationship is not going well, or the relationship with your friends and things like that is not going well, and you want to make a decision and making that away, and you're bringing the identity, which is the most important thing, that when you are faced with the fears, you don't have to deal with somebody else. You need to deal with your inner being first, because at that moment, when you are making that decision, like Kamal was saying, talking about the identity, it is very, very, your identity is the critical component of who you become. If marriage has to end, why would you worry about your family? How are they gonna think about you as a person. We might, the fears that we fear, maybe your family are not going to think that way. They want to see you happy. Yes, there are people that sometimes where there is money involved, like if you are married to somebody who has lots of money, family will want to know where you stand with all this because they don't want you to suffer. But sometimes it's best to make your own decision. Like myself, when like Kamal is talking about marriage, when my marriage was falling apart, there was money involved, but I had to think about my happiness. And I had to ask the most important person that I wanted to know whether how they're gonna feel, because my mom was very, very close to my ex. She accepted him as her son. So I was like, what happens if our relationship ends? And she was like, I'm gonna have to accept it. It's gonna take me a long time, but as long you guys don't fight, because I don't want my grandchild to be caught up in it, make sure you leave your child out of it. That was my mom's advice. Leave the children out of it, whatever is going on. So, and then I had to make a decision on my own. I never told my friends. When I'm going through something, I don't talk to my friends. This is something that I have learned the hard way. Or the person I talked to when I was going through a divorce, it was my GP. I was like, listen, I'm going through something personal, but my mind is not in the right place. What do I do? And he was like, you need somebody, a psychologist to help you. So in that way, I was getting help in the right direction. But then I told my friends on the final, because we had to live together before the final arrangements. So we had to live together. When I told my friends, it was the final moment of the divorce. We had found a house, we had found everything. We were both moving on. But then when he told his friends, Kamal says people take sides. On my side, my family and friends didn't take side. My family, my friends, some of them, they judge me. But his side of friends, they took sides because people don't understand. Whatever they see you happy, going on social media, walking, people think everything is okay. People don't understand, and they fall in love with you, and they fall in love with both of you. It becomes a disaster when things are falling apart. So I had to let them grieve. I had to let them grieve. But then my friends judge me because they judge me based on finances, because I was like, I'm moving on. We're living in a big mansion. And then I'm moving on. I'm going to a 2-bedroom flat. And then they had to come and see my flat. And they were like, we're confused. I was like, why are you confused? And they're like, but you are moving on from that life to this. I was like, yes, God has a plan for me. This is the plan. This is the process right now. I cannot live when I'm going through something. I cannot live the life that I've lived before. This is a process. And they were like, but it does not make sense. And I said, it does not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. And inside the Kamal, I was scared. Whether it was the right choice for my children, I was scared. And their father could see he was scared as well, because it was life-changing for everybody. But I had to live in that 2-bedroom house. But I wasn't losing anything, because it was a choice that I've made, that I've never lived in a 2-bedroom flat. Let me live in a 2-bedroom flat with my daughter. Let me learn life. But I have moved into an expensive area as well. So I had to experience the life and that life has taught me something, that nothing stays the same. I've learned so many things in that life, and that's why I decided to create Hope Springs Tenant Introduction Agency, and moved on from that life. And I met my man. I lived a different life. I've got 2 kids now. I've learned so much from that journey. If anyone comes to me and say, marriage, talk about marriage like my man, it does not get me, or say my spouse, it does not get me, basically I will say you don't get yourself. You need to get yourself before anybody else can get you. So I've learned through that problem journey, and I've learned to conquer those fears. Was it easy? It wasn't easy. Kamau, you talk about how your identity. I had to create through that. What helps me was for me to create the identity that I wanted to become, the identity where my marriage wasn't working. But why was I living that marriage? What I wanted, what was the outcome? I wanted to be happy. I wanted to work on myself. I wanted to my daughter to be happy. I wanted her father to be happy because we were both miserable and making our child miserable. So I had to create the character that would take me where I needed to go. And that character, it meant that no matter how much fear of the unknown, but I had to stay grounded. I had to have my boundaries. Even if I saw that handsome, beautiful man who says, "Oh, are you single?" It was time for me to say, "Yes, I'm single, but I'm working on myself. I've got issues." I had to speak it out loud when I meet a man that fences me, knowing that it was a journey that I had to sort out my issues within. I'll say out loud that, "Listen, I have issues at this moment. When I'm finished with my issues, we'll get in touch."
That would easily scare off a man. Now, you know what? I've got issues.
But that is the truth. If you have the issues, you have the issues. I know there are some people that come out of relationship, they enter another one, but I don't think I can do that.
Oh no, we've discussed this before, and it's very wrong for yourself to jump from one relationship to the next. Of course, forget about the energies, but from a perspective where you don't give yourself time to breathe and understand. And they say, like, women, they are out. What do they say? It's women are over the relationship 3 or 4 months before the relationship ends. It doesn't matter. You still need time away from that person because you're still living in close quarters.
Is that true though?
That's what I've heard. I've read it somewhere.
No, that's not true. I wish I did to get over the relationship.
I don't know. But anyway, this is the common generalized saying. However, coming back to your story, right? Saying that you have issues, right? It's wonderful. It's something really, really genuine, at least towards yourself as a start off, not even to the person that you are or the person that is courting you. Now, we're still talking about change here because it required you to change everything about yourself, right? The environment that you lived. This is in NLP, we call them the logical levels. And it's something where we decide when we have a discussion about an issue that troubles you, we figure out in which level it is and to understand how difficult it or how easy it is for you to change it. So you've changed your environment. You had to change your behaviors. You had to add or remove certain skills and capabilities. Your beliefs and values changed, right? And then after that, your identity as well, which comes last. It's on the top of the pyramid because it's the most difficult problems usually that stem from identity that are complicated to change. However, we're still talking of a process. And what I love about the logical levels is that not only can you use it to identify in which area a problem or an issue might be, but you can use it in life as we are doing right now to realize the changes that you need in your life. And these are actual steps that you can take for you to implement these changes in order not to be scared and worrisome about the change that you're going through. Look at it from, let's start this way, right? We start very slowly with the environment you're in. Is the environment that you are in resourceful for you? Is it useful to you? Is it helpful? And pay attention now, I'm not saying bad or good, right? I'm just saying, is it serving you? If it isn't serving you, change the environment. Alter it if it's possible. And then look into your behavior. What behaviors that you have right now that are not serving you? What needs to change, or actually not needs, but what do you want to change in these behaviors in order for you to become that person that you dreamt of being since you were young, perhaps, or the person that you want to be, like the model that you are copying? All of these behaviors are based on what you know right now, the skills and the capabilities that you have right now. So once you've looked at the behaviors that you want to change, look at the skills and the capabilities that you have right now, and what you want to add on, or what you want to remove in order for those behaviors to be changed as well and to be applied the way that you want to make them. And once you've done and found out those skills and capabilities that you're looking for to change the behaviors that you want, look into your belief system. Look into your core values. And I'm talking about core values, not the peripheral values. The very core values, the 5 values that are the motivators to your decisions in life. Are you aligned with these core values? Do you actually know what these core values are? If you don't know them, go through a core values elicitation. Find a coach or look online how it works, see how it works, test it out. What beliefs do you have about yourself right now that limit you into becoming the person that you want to be? What limiting beliefs do you have based on untangible facts from people, society, family members, exes that have told you that you cannot or can do? What are these limitations? Understand them, explore them, and look into them to find facts, to find the truth behind it. And if it's once that it happened, it doesn't mean that this is a fact. Twice doesn't mean it's true. If it happens constantly, then it's a behavior. So that behavior can be changed. What do you believe about yourself that is incorrect? And what do you believe about yourself that can help you, that is resourceful to you to create that persona that you want to become? And once you've done with all of these 4 parts, you can get back to your identity. Who are you? Who are you today for yourself? What have you done for yourself? Who do you want to become? What are the steps that you require in your life right now to move on to becoming that person that you have imagined? And if you haven't imagined that person, write that person down. Say, I want to be Jean Valjean, like Les Miserables, and say, I want to be this, with these skills, I want to be able to manage my emotions. I want to feel more. I want to connect more. I want to be so-and-so. I want to be so-and-so. I want to be so-and-so, because this is how we identify, right? You say, you ask somebody, what do you do? And they tell you what their profession is as an identity. They would tell you, I'm a doctor. But a doctor isn't his identity. It's part of his identity, but it's not what he does. What he does is saves lives, for instance. I don't know, right? So what do you want to do in your life, in your future life, that you have dreamed of, that you want to create? And what are the steps that require the changes that you have thought of in the past 4 steps? And it's funny, like we're almost done with our time, but we can talk about change for 2-3 hours because everybody will still have an opinion. But these are very initial and simple steps anybody can take to start off that change, to kickstart, like they say, to kickstart that change in your life and remove that, not remove and not suppress, let me correct this, and to manage the fear that you have in your life. So yeah, I think that's what I have for now, at least, Nomsa. Unless you have something to comment, please go ahead. I'd love to hear your opinion, as always.
Actually agree with you, Kamal, because it's very, very important to actually uh, go for what you want in life and understand your and create use your beliefs as well to create the character that you want to become and implement whatever you write down and implement it. Don't just talk about it. Just write down whatever you feel that this is the path that I need to go, and the things that are not serving you. Get rid of the things that are not serving you, because there are so many things that are not actually serving you. You have to look at them and just, instead of sitting on them, and just get rid of them, and just ask yourself, what do I need to change for me to get to where I need to go? And basically, for me, basically, I had to go back to Nomsa back when Nomsa was young. I had to actually revisit myself, my younger self. And when I revisited my younger self, I had to have a conversation with that younger self. And that younger self basically was like, the decision was, okay, Nomsa, whatever you want to do right now, you're gonna hurt people in the process, but it is okay, because the things have got to be done. So I realized that in order for me to create this character that I want to become, I'm gonna have to leave some places behind. I'm gonna have to leave some people behind, but not in that ego way, like you're going around and hurting people. Is being humbled and knowing who you want to become and going for it. Using your beliefs is very, very important, to use your beliefs. I met the guy yesterday. He was preaching in our church. He was talking about how he couldn't understand what love is about. He thought love is all about giving some to somebody else, and he didn't understand that in order for him to whatever, to get rid of the fears that he was fearing, it was for him to accept who he was as a person first, and loving himself first, and having to face the fears that were he was basically facing. There's a giant basically that you have to conquer, and in order for you to go to the other side, you have to face this giant in front of you. So he had to actually face that, whatever it was going on, and made a decision for a life changing, which is the same thing that I did for myself, is to basically not lying to yourself, is to tell yourself the truth of who you are that moment, what is not working. You cannot lie. If you want changes in your life, you have to be truthful within you. And when you are truthful, that means that you there is no room to blame. There is no room to say, what if I do this? This person is going to judge me. The only room that is there is for you to face what is going on, and to understand who you are becoming, and accept that those results before they come to reality. Because if you want to be a millionaire, if you have fear, that means when you hold that millionaire 1 million into your hands, you're going to have fear of losing it. So you have to accept the results, that this is who I want to become. I accept it, and I'm going to deal with it when I'm faced with this becoming a millionaire. And then I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to celebrate myself. So those are the things that you need to actually, if you want to be single, you accept that this is who I want to become, and I'm gonna have to celebrate my singleness. If you want to start your business, this is who I want to become, and I'm gonna have to celebrate starting my business. Like myself, I think it was a few weeks ago, I decided I needed to work with somebody's skills for business just to improve my business. But I was first with the basically to face my weaknesses, my strength, and to talk about it out loud and telling somebody, and this is what I fear. And this guy was like, although I have filled in the form, he was like, no, sir, in order for you to help you have to say out loud for me to believe it, that if I can send somebody your way. So I had to say out loud, and I was writing everything down and saying, this is what I need, this is who I need to bring in to help me with my business, and this is who I need to bring in. But sometimes the people that have been recommended, they are better than people you don't know. Like employing somebody, if somebody's skills for business, they have people that are looking for work. Sometimes they have people that I already know. So I was basically, it was me saying I need to improve my business, but do you know somebody that can help me, although they're gonna get paid, but I need somebody that can help me with this, with this, with this. So it was me being first with all those kind of things, and knowing that I needed help, and I didn't care how people think of me or the person that I'm talking to, what they're gonna think, and they didn't care either. They just wanted to help me, and that is the beauty of life. That there are some people out there who just want to help if you are willing to change. So
Yeah,
that's
that's very true. That's very true. And that's the thing, right? You're willing to change. And you'll find so many quotes about that willingness to change. You know, there's the proverb where when the I think it's a Japanese proverb or Chinese, I could be misquoting today again. When the student is ready, the master appears, right? And that is not simply applied to martial arts or any studies. It is simply when you as a person are ready for change, everything opens up for you. um, we're coming short on our time today, and I have to leave again at 3 because I have another appointment. But before I leave, confirming what Nomsa was saying right here, I want to add today a quote that I read from Rumi. I think it was yesterday, and it was quite interesting. And the quote says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. And when we talk about change, it is important to realize that change doesn't happen from the outside. First, you have to change yourself. Many more quotes you can find about change, like Mahatma Gandhi. What was it? To see a change in the world, change yourself first, or something like that. Again, I could be misquoting, so for some reason I usually forget. Be the change that you wish to be, I think, to see in the world, right? That was it. And many more ideas stem from change. However, they all concur the same point. Change happens within first. Change is a process that is, as everybody says, a mindset. It is a decision. It is a choice. As we have always talked about in these many videos, choices that we make in our life create the reality that we live in. Your choice today will be the reason behind your change today as well, not tomorrow, right? So I think with this, I will end it, and thank you for having me again today, Nomsa, and thank you everybody for watching. These were my last words of encouragement.
Wow, and thank you everyone. For me, I'll live with this. Like Kamal always say, your life is full of choices. Like Kamal always say, you have a choice in life. So your life story is full of choices. Write the choice that you want, not what Nomsa want. And live with grace, everyone. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. God bless you. Press some heart button and share some love with everybody. Live with grace.